Hello and welcome to episode 4. I'm already on episode 4 of my podcast. Um, and it has not been very easy because, first of all, I am understanding that you do need to be consistent when you are considering yourself a content creator, which that could be videos on YouTube, right? Like day in my life videos or get ready with me videos. If you are trying to showcase your brand or your small business, if you're starting up a podcast, the number one thing that's going to bring you success is being consistent with what you're trying to create. Because I know personally, when you really become a fan of somebody, or you really look forward to seeing their videos, hearing them talk, seeing what they have to share on their social media, whatever, you look forward to it and expect it on a certain day, right? Because if it's kind of just like willy-nilly, and I'm so guilty of that, if it's just willy-nilly, like here, willy-nilly there, then people are like, okay, well, when does she post? Or like, when can I make time to do this? Because she just randomly, one month she doesn't post, and the next month she does post her podcast. So I really was thinking about doing it every Monday, but I think I'm going to change it to Friday. I think by the end of Friday, 12 o'clock midnight, by Friday before midnight, there will be a new podcast episode, weekly podcast episode. So this is my word on it, okay? And like I said, it hasn't been easy because I want to make sure that I am very intentional and staying focused and really providing value in the podcast, because that's the whole purpose, right, of me sharing my stories or speaking on behalf of anything that I feel like I should share my opinion about. So with that being said, let's dive in, all right? Okay, so I have my if you're watching the YouTube video of this podcast recording, I have my Olipop orange squeeze. By Olipop. Was that a good commercial? All right, y'all ain't trying to hear all that. Sorry, but the orange one is pretty good. It's like Fanta. It tastes like Fanta, like the orange Fanta. All right, let's dive in. So as promised, I'm going to call this episode How I Had a Successful VBAC. Okay, and if those of you that don't know what VBAC stands for, it stands for vaginal birth after cesarean. Okay, and many women have had VBACs. And this might be, I hope it doesn't become a super long episode. I might have to make it into 2 parts. But I want to start off by saying that this podcast episode is going to be about how I had a successful VBAC. All right? And how you, if you can relate to me on any level that I'm about to speak about, can have one too if you already had a cesarean, okay? I want to start off by saying to the women listening to this podcast episode that have had a cesarean or are currently pregnant or plan on getting pregnant, that having a natural birth is the most exhilarating and gives you a sense, so much like sense of power, and just takes you on a whole other level of womanhood. I'm not exaggerating. You can ask any woman that's ever had a natural birth, and I'm talking about like a drug-free natural birth. Like I'm talking about you feeling everything. I am telling you, if you prepare correctly, and number one, believe in your own body and its power to give natural birth. You have to believe in yourself. And it's not a facade. This is like, our bodies were made for this, okay? So let's get into my little story. Once upon a time, so I was pregnant with my second, okay? And I was pretty upset because I was only 6 months postpartum. So I had a 6-month-old and I was pregnant again. And I was like, I was in literal shock. And I was very upset because I was currently separated from the father of my first child, who was also the father of my second child. So yeah, I was currently separated from him. So I was like, what? Like, I was like, oh man, like, really? Like, I'm only 6 months postpartum. I didn't think I'd be one of those women that had a baby back to back like that. And it was very scary. I was scared. I didn't want to have another baby at that moment, right? I wasn't ready to have another baby, but I was pregnant nonetheless. I did consider for a little while having an abortion with my second. I was like, yeah, I can't do this. I only have a 6-month-old. I was already under a lot of pressure, learning how to be a mom to this new baby. And yeah, but obviously my son is 3 going on 4 next year in February. So he is alive and I'm so grateful to God. I'm going to be making a future episode about abortion and my story on my third baby, who I heavily considered an abortion with. And I feel very like I'm really out in the open with my personal life. Because this is kind of like a very, someone could judge me, right, for even considering having an abortion. So you can go ahead and judge me. I'm just giving you like the truth of my life, okay, and how I felt, because I know someone else out there can relate. My first, I was super happy when I found out I was pregnant with her. Didn't even cross my mind to abort her. I was like, yay, I'm having a baby. And I was so excited to find out the gender and blah, blah, blah. My second, the reason why I even considered it is because, one, I was separated from the father of my kids. And 2, I was not ready. I had a 6-month-old and I was not ready for another one. And I was shocked that I was pregnant. But that's what happens when you do the thing, when you do the deed, right? So anyway, yeah, I mean, so I just, I'm like, okay, you know what? Especially because I had a bad experience with my first, right, with a cesarean. So when I found out, I'm like, all right, ended up telling the father. We ended up getting back together. And yeah, I was like feeling a lot better about, having another baby and excited to find out the gender and, yeah. And, just accepting. Acceptance is a high vibration. I accepted that I was, pregnant. And, I think it was like maybe halfway through the pregnancy, I believe, is when I started researching for a doula. So that was one of the first things that I can remember starting to do when preparing to have a VBAC. I knew that I wanted support, and not only during the birthing process, I knew that the people that were at my first birth, I did not want them to be at my second birth. So I knew I needed to have someone that literally could support me. And I ended up researching, finding out about doulas. And I was like, wow, let me look into this. I don't know if I can afford it, but let me look into it and see what pops up. So yeah, I ended up researching that, doulas, they're there for you at your birth. And they're there like encouraging you, getting you what you need. If you need something to drink, if you need something cleaned up on yourself, like say you poop yourself, like they might even help with that. I mean, I you know what I mean? Like maybe they're not there for that. I feel like that would be something that a doula might do. I'm just throwing things out there. They're there for a support and encouragement. So I know the doula that I had, she was giving me something to drink in my straw, in a straw cup, while I was birthing in labor process. And she was also, she rubbed, I believe she rubbed like some oils on my back and stuff like that, during, while I was birthing my son, to like relax me and stuff, and just, reaffirming to me, like, you're doing great, like, okay, breathe. So she was a huge help. But I think it cost me, she was actually very affordable. I don't know her prices now. They're probably up. They should be up because she's really great. But yeah, I think I paid around a little less than $900 for her to be at my birth. And we had like a few meetings before the birth. She was just like checking up on me and stuff like that. But when you get a doula, they're educated on a lot of different things for birthing. So they can help you with breathing, teaching you how to breathe during them, help you stay relaxed, show you different techniques that you can do to prepare. Like, I remember my doula doing that for me. We did like this one where you like, someone puts like a blanket on your belly and like pulls it up so that you can get some relief from holding that heavy belly. There was another one where I literally was like big and pregnant, and she had me like be upside down. It's supposed to like help the baby turn in the right position for birth. So doulas are educated in all things birthing and postpartum and stuff like that. Some of them, I know she did, not only did she take pictures of my birth, like while I was giving birth and the baby coming out and everything, like she took pictures, and I have these pictures too. I'm so grateful for them. They're awesome. Like, I highly suggest, if you don't get a doula, have somebody take pictures of you while you're birthing, while you're having a natural birth. I'm telling you, it's super natural. It's awesome. So she also did that for me. She also offered placenta encapsulation, where they put your placenta into like little capsules that you can like take over the period of your postpartum, so that you can get those nutrients back. And some women it helps, but I wasn't into all that. The hospital kept my placenta. Who knows what they did with it, but that's another story. But yeah, so but yeah, she educated me on a lot of things. She helped me make a birth plan. She was my advocate for my birth plan, so that, like I said in my episodes in the previous, I said it's so super important that you have someone there advocating for you, because when you're in the process of giving birth, you need to be concentrated and focus on what you're doing. You don't have time to like look at what people are doing and making sure that they're doing what you need them to do. You know what I mean? You just got to focus on giving birth to the baby. So when you have a doula there, she's your advocate, and that's very, very helpful. If you plan on going into a hospital to give natural birth, okay? Because she will let them know, hey, she's breastfeeding. Hey, she wants delayed cord clamping. Hey, she doesn't want vaccines ahead of time, right? So at this time, my main goal during my pregnancy, I was doing everything I could to prepare for it. I even joined this course that was called Mama Natural. It was very affordable. I think it was like $200 something. It was a course that you can do at your own pace, not like you're tested or anything on it. And it just like has videos of real women sharing their birth, in a video. So I was watching some natural births of other women. It was very empowering and a little bit scary, because I had never given natural birth before. Just because, you can see that it's not like, you just baby's out. It takes a lot out of a woman. It's very powerful and beautiful. So what else was on there too is she gave some tips, which I'm going to share with you guys for free. An amazing thing that you can do to prepare for a natural birth. Okay, if you want your birth, and I'm not even joking on this, okay? I'm not even exaggerating, because I've done this twice already. And this is like a hack that every woman needs to do and know about natural birth. Okay, and I learned this in the Mama Natural birthing course. You can look her up. I'm not sponsoring her or anything like that. You can look it up online. Just type in Mama Natural. She has, I suggest you take her Mama Natural birthing class because it was very beneficial. So, and there's also like a Facebook community and stuff. So, yeah, with that being said, here's the hack, okay? Dates, they look like giant raisins and they have a seed in the middle. Dates. So Mama Natural said to eat, so at the last 4 weeks before you're due, eat like 6 dates every day from the last couple of weeks, which is hard to do. I'm going to tell you because those dates, they're very like, one of them is filling. So eating 6 of them is like a lot, but you could probably do like 2 in the morning, 2 in the middle of the day, and then like 2 later in the day. 2, 4, 6. Yeah. So that's what I would suggest doing. But yeah, I always tried to do 6, but I ended up doing like 4 or 5. But it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, that and raspberry leaf tea, okay? It helps the uterus to be straighten the uterus, because that's going to be contracting. That's what contracts to help the baby get out. So you need that muscle to be strong, because it's a muscle. You need that muscle to be strong. Dates help that tremendously. And red raspberry leaf tea gets your body ready, the uterus. It gets the uterus ready to get ready for birth. And let me tell you, red raspberry leaf tea, and make sure you find like the best quality one. That with dates, the couple last weeks before you're due, and make sure you're doing like bouncing on the yoga ball, squats. Still do squats when you're very due. It's going to be hard because you have a big belly, but I am telling you, like that will make you, this is what it does. It makes your labor so much shorter. And that was my first time giving natural birth, okay? My labor was like, I woke up at around like 3 something a.m., I believe. My son was born at 5:10 a.m. So I woke up like around 3 something a.m. in the morning, and I woke up in labor. Like I woke up already in like labor, where it's already like the baby's getting ready to come, okay? So I was timing it on my timer, and I texted my doula, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm having my baby. Like, I think I'm going to start heading to the hospital. So we get ready to go to the hospital, and I'm in the back seat. My dad drove me to the hospital. I'm in the back seat. I'm not even sitting down in the chair, because you can't sit like this when you have a baby coming out. Like, it's so uncomfortable. Like, no. So I was like kneeled down in the back seat. And by the time we got to the hospital, I'm telling you, I was like, ugh! I couldn't hold that moan in right in front of my dad. I was like, because I could feel it. Like, I could feel the baby. I think the baby dropped even more into my pelvis at that point. So when I got into the hospital, I was already at the end of labor. Like, I'm telling you, this is how fast, with the dates and the raspberry tea, if you want your labor to be short and fast and strong, raspberry leaf tea and dates, okay? And I'm giving you this information free right now. No, I want to help people, so I'm serious, so get on that. So enough about that. So that is what I did, hiring a doula. And you can literally ask them anything you want. They'll tell you everything. And look at their credentials. What are you looking for in a doula? Somebody that does massages, somebody that's informed in natural birth, somebody that does postpartum help. You know what I mean? They have their profile, and look at the different doulas. Meet with them in person. See if there's somebody that you want at your birth. Do you vibe with them? I vibed with her. You know, I liked her right off the bat. We connected. So I was like comfortable with her being at my birth. So find yourself a good doula, and red raspberry leaf tea and dates. And let me tell you what was a super big game changer, because if you have a lot of fear around giving natural birth, Hypno Babies, HYPNO, Hypno Babies. Hypno is short for hypnosis. So it's a hypnosis program. It's like 6 weeks long, and there's like a booklet, or you could do the CD. You still got to read though, and it's a lot of reading. And then you have to listen to the hypnosis tapes. And if you're somebody that doesn't believe in hypnosis, then maybe this won't work. You have to believe that it's going to work, and you have to surrender to, you have to actually do what it directs you to do every single day. You have to listen to the recording, while you're falling asleep or throughout the day, things like that. It gives you directions on what to do. But I did this hypnosis program for 6 weeks. And what it is that it's rewiring that brain, that idea in everybody's brain, right? Because a lot of women have this program because society has pushed this program on us. A lot of women have had bad birthing experiences. So they'll share, oh my gosh, it was so painful. Like they'll share these negative birth stories with people. And then you'll just be like, oh yeah, well, so-and-so had a bad birth. So-and-so said it hurt. So-and-so ripped all the way down to their butt. So they have these scary stories, right? And you kind of like put it on yourself. Like, oh my gosh, what if that happens to me? Because I remember being that way. I remember with my first, I was kind of a little bit nervous. That's why I ended up being like, yeah, just give me a C-section. Because I'm like, how the hell am I going to get this baby out? Like, she's just not coming out. I don't know what to do. So anyways, yeah. So this Hypnobabies, it's reprogramming your subconscious to undoubtedly believe in yourself to give natural birth. And second of all, what I love about it is that it tricks your mind into those, when you have contractions, right? It's when the uterus is contracting to get the baby out. That's what women say, right? And then even on TV, like the women are screaming and they're like sweating, and like that could be possible, like that could happen. But I'm telling you, like, if you're a healthy woman, for the most part, like I can't speak on women that have, endometriosis, or if they have some type of diabetes, or they have whatever else kind of medical issue. I can't speak on behalf, I'm not speaking on behalf of those women because I don't know how that correlates with pregnancy and how that affects giving natural birth. But I'm talking to the women that, you're healthy for the most part, and you just have a little bit of fear, but you want to give natural birth. I'm telling you, Hypnobabies, if you're open to hypnosis, and when I first did it, it was a little bit weird, but I just surrendered to it. I'm like, no, I want to do this, because my doula actually introduced me to it. She's the one that said, would you be interested in doing this? I think this would be a good idea. Especially if you're having a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean, like I did. That is super important, because you're definitely going to have a lot of people telling you that you can't do it. I saw 3 different doctors during my pregnancy, and none of them believed in me. All 3 of them didn't believe in me. Yeah, they all wanted me to end up having a cesarean. I'm not going to get into details. I just know. I'm not going to get into details about what each one did or said. I could see they didn't believe in me. They were actually trying to instill fear into me, making it seem like, oh, my uterus was going to rupture. Oh, I'm probably going to end up having a cesarean again, this and that. Like, so there's actually a hypnosis tape in there. It's called something about a bubble. And it's a hypnosis tape, talks about making a bubble around you. So whenever someone is making you feel uncomfortable around anything around birthing your baby, you imagine that bubble around you. And you imagine that their words are just bouncing right off the bubble and not even entering into your energetic field. Okay, and that's powerful. And another thing in the hypnosis that they teach is that they don't call contractions in the program, in the hypnosis program. They call it birthing waves. And so when you think about it as a wave, you realize like waves go up and then they go down, and they're graceful. So when they also try to tell you that the birthing wave is going to feel like pressure, so you're not going to correlate it with pain. You're going to call it a birthing wave, and you're going to correlate it with the feeling of pressure, and it's not painful. And let me tell you, I do not consider both of my natural births, my birth with my second and my birth with my third, I would not consider them painful. Intense, yes, but powerfully intense. Like, I'm telling you, when that baby comes out, you're like, Like your face, I have a picture of myself when my baby came out and they gave me my baby. Like my face is like, because I'm just like shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did it. I'm telling you, it's the most rewarding thing ever. But I had the baby at the hospital, like I said. So even though, I did exclusively breastfeed my son, they didn't give him formula, so that was good. But they still had me hooked up and stuff like that. They do all that hooking up. I don't like that stuff. They were injecting something into me. They said I had there's like something that they test you for. I forgot what it's called. Towards the end of your pregnancy. But yeah, supposedly I had this thing that they diagnosed for at the end of the pregnancy, and they said they have to give antibiotics while you're in the birthing process. So they were injecting me with something, but it didn't really affect me. Like I didn't feel out of it or anything. But like I said, that's what happens when you go to the hospital. They think that just because they feel like, oh, we have a protocol to follow, but really, I probably didn't even really need that. I don't even know what it was, what they were giving me, how much came into my system. But yeah, they had something going in my IV. And yeah, I have the pictures that the doula took. One of the nurses like waiting for me to give birth. Like, and I was only there for like an hour. Anyway, she's just like all bored in the back. And like you could just see, like, you know what I mean? For them, it's just another day. That's why now that I've had a home birth, I am like so big on women going for a home birth. And I know that, women are scared to even birth in general, let alone they're going to birth at home without hospital around them. But I'm telling you, you're more in danger at a hospital. Honestly, if you truly have an emergency while you're giving birth at home, then go to the hospital. Believe me, you're going to be okay. People have too much fear instilled in them, and they're afraid to do things that are very empowering. I'm so grateful, which I'm going to be talking about my home birth in a future episode. But yeah, I'm so grateful that I decided to stick with a home birth and do it, because it's one of the most amazing experiences that a woman can have. And being in the comfort of your home, you can't put a price on that. And it's free. I had to pay the midwife, but there's women out there that what they call free birthing. It's when you don't even have a midwife. It's just your significant other and you just give birth, and your significant other catches, or maybe you catch the baby yourself. And that's it. Yeah, it's amazing. And it's free. It's free, instead of ending up with this like $30,000 hospital bill for what? You know what I mean? So this podcast episode is going on 28 minutes. Yeah, I mean, at the hospital, at this time, I wasn't very educated on vaccines. So they asked me if I wanted my son vaccinated, the vitamin K and the Hep B, and I said yes. And I'll talk about why I stopped vaccinating my children in a future episode. But yeah, I just wasn't educated. See, I wasn't educated on vaccines, so I just told him yes, do the vaccines. So while I was breastfeeding my son, they did the vaccines. But if I could go back, I would definitely have said no. If I would have had the baby at home, there would be nobody there with needles and toxins inside of a syringe ready to poke my baby, right? At a hospital, they got all that stuff there, ready to intoxify your newborn infant with all types of chemicals. That's the hospital system for you. So another thing that I didn't like while I was at the hospital, I'm going to mention two more things that happened to me at the hospital the second time I gave birth there. There was this woman there, one of the nurses, and I was holding my son, right? I ended up getting like a little tear on my vagina. So while they were stitching it up, I was holding my baby on my chest. And I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you this. Like the nurse was like grabbing my boob, okay, and like moving it, trying to get my baby to latch onto my boob. And like I'm laying there, and I just like I just gave birth to my son, so I'm not saying anything. Like, this is why it's so important to have an advocate. I don't know what my doula was doing. I don't know if she thought that was normal. Now that I look back at it, like, actually was like really upsetting me. Like, it took me a second to realize she was doing that, but like, I'm not making that up. Like, the fact that this nurse thinks that she can grab my boob and try to get my baby to go on my boob. Like, why? Like, my baby will go to my boob naturally when he is ready to. And you don't need to be touching on me and all that. You know what I mean? So anyways, and you know, these women are all strangers. The woman that, the midwife that delivered my baby at the hospital was a stranger to me. The nurses were all strangers. So you're surrounded by strangers at a hospital. Okay. And yeah, so I ended up, the beautiful thing about having a natural birth, you can walk. You're going to walk very slow and carefully, because you just, you know, pushed a human out of your vagina. So there's a lot of looseness down there. But you're still able to walk. So that's awesome. That's a pro of having a natural birth versus a cesarean. So I walked to the bathroom and the nurse like cleaned me up, like helped me get cleaned up, poured water on my vagina and stuff, and like cleaned me up a little bit back there with a towel and things like that. So I'm having this stranger, you know, and that's what nurses do, right? That's what their job is. But I would rather have like my significant other doing that for me. And a true good man will do that for you as a man. If he truly loves you, you just gave birth to his child, he's going to take care of you. He'll clean you up. Everything that the nurse do at the hospital, your significant other should be doing for you. And anybody else that's there to help you, like a mother-in-law or your mother or a sister, your own children, they should be there supporting you and helping you after you give birth until you're well to do things for yourself. So the last thing I want to mention, yeah, they kept me there for 2 nights, and I told them I didn't want to stay there another night, but they made me stay there another night, and I didn't like that. And that's another thing about the hospital too. They literally forced me to stay there. So I was away 2 nights from my baby girl. And she was 1 year old at the time. So I really didn't like that. I really wanted to get home to my daughter, but the hospital wouldn't let me leave. Can you believe that? Oh, man. So that's why you just have a baby at home, right? Because you're already at home, and then your kids come in, they meet the baby, and then, yeah, it's beautiful. I've had 3 children alone. And what I mean by alone is the father of the baby was not there for none of my births. So, which I can get into that. It's a story for another podcast episode. But yeah, so it really melts my heart when I see, you know, these women free birthing with their partners. When I see dads, you know, holding their babies for the first time right after the mom gave birth, men helping the woman after she gives birth, you know, just catering to her. It warms my heart. And I hope one day, if God allows me to have another baby one day in the right time with the right person, I hope that I get to experience that, because I know that's such a beautiful experience. But I'm just so grateful to have given natural birth to my sons. I wish I could have given natural birth to my daughter, but it just didn't turn out that way. So those are ways that you can have a natural birth if you want one, and even a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean. It's possible. I'm not the only woman that's done it. All you need is to educate yourself, get yourself an advocate, a doula, or hopefully your partner is on board with something like that. Get yourself a doctor that believes in you. If you can't find a doctor that believes in you, guess what? Do the hypnobabies, make yourself a bubble, expel all that negativity out. And I just want to thank you for being here. And I hope I see you at the next podcast episode, which is going to be a secret. So see you next Friday.